Welcome to the deep dive. For you today, we're plunging into a hydrometeorological assessment for Azerbaijan. We're specifically looking at the context for late July 2025, say the 26th and the 31st. We'll explore what typical July weather feels like there, but maybe more importantly, how these big climate shifts are, really changing things.
Yeah, and it's crucial to clarify right off the bat, precise daily forecasts that far out that aren't really feasible. The atmospheric modeling is just too complex for that kind of long-range pinpointing. So our mission here is more about understanding the probabilistic likelihood of events.
The chances of something happening.
Exactly, based on the historical climate averages and also these overarching climate change projections. This deep dive gives you that broader context.
Okay, so no promises on whether you'll need an umbrella on the 26th specifically.
Right.
But this helps us understand the kind of conditions that are likely. So what does July typically look like, say, for Baku or the Absheron Peninsula?
And for Baku and that whole peninsula area, July is typically intensely hot and dry and very, very sunny.
Sounds intense.
It is. Average daytime highs, they commonly hit 30 degrees Celsius. Nighttime lows are still warm, around 22 degrees. And you're looking at maybe 10 hours of bright sunshine daily. Plus, a really high UV index, usually around 10.
10, wow. Okay, so serious sun protection is a must.
Absolutely essential. And rainfall, it's remarkably minimal, on average, just one day with some rain. And that only adds up to a tiny 2 millimeters for the whole month.
2 millimeters. Practically nothing.
Pretty much. And the Caspian Sea around Baku, it's actually quite pleasant. Averages about 24 Celsius in July. Generally calm, too, not prone to big sea storms then.
Okay, classic hot, sunny, dry summer then. But you mentioned these typical conditions are being amplified. How is climate change playing into this?
Yeah, that's where it gets quite concerning. These existing conditions, they're getting ramped up. Azerbaijan's already seen significant warming. It was about 1.3 degrees Celsius hotter by 2010 compared to historical averages.
Wow, already 1.3 degrees.
And there's a clear increase in extreme heat events. Projections. They show mean temperatures rising another 1 to 3 degrees Celsius by mid-century.
Oh, 3 more degrees.
Yeah, which means heat waves will likely get worse, both longer lasting and hitting higher peak temperatures. And that raises real public health questions, especially in cities like Baku. They also deal with the urban heat island effect.
Right, where the city itself traps heat, making it even hotter than the surrounding areas.
Exactly. Concrete, buildings, they all contribute.
Okay, so the heat's intensifying. But what about precipitation? You said it's incredibly dry, but I saw something in the sources about a wet drought paradox. That sounds counterintuitive.
It does, yeah. And it's a really important point. While the overall summer rainfall is projected to decrease.
Okay, so drier overall.
Right. But the frequency and, crucially, the intensity of heavy rainfall events are expected to increase.
Wait, hang on. Less rain overall, but when it does rain, it's potentially much heavier.
Precisely. That's the paradox. And it creates this complex mix of risks. You get long dry spells, water stress, and then suddenly, boom, a really heavy downpour that the hard, dry ground just can't absorb.
Leading to localized flooding.
Exactly. Destructive localized flooding. And Azerbaijan is already quite vulnerable. It ranked 24th out of 191 countries in the 2022 Inform Risk Index. That's a global risk assessment tool. And these extreme weather events, they already cost the country something like $70 to $80 million annually.
That's a significant hit. Okay, so intensified heat, this strange wet drought pattern. But the assessment also pointed to another major environmental issue, right? Something beyond the immediate weather concerning the Caspian Sea itself.
Yes, that's right. Despite the surface being relatively calm for, say, swimming or boating in July, the Caspian Sea is facing a really critical long-term environmental crisis. It's shrinking. The water level is falling.
The whole sea is shrinking.
Yeah. And that decline has huge ecological consequences for its unique plants and animals. Plus, major economic impacts too, for fishing, shipping, all the coastal communities. It's a big deal.
A truly systemic problem then, beyond just the weather forecast. And finally, this whole assessment kind of highlights a really unique challenge for Azerbaijan, doesn't it? Almost a contradiction.
It does create an interesting tension, yes. You have Azerbaijan hosting COP29, the big UN climate change conference.
Right, taking a very visible role in global climate diplomacy.
Exactly, a high-profile role. Yet, at the same time, the nation's economy is, profoundly reliant on fossil fuels. And some assessments describe its domestic climate policies as critically insufficient. So there's a disconnect there.
A definite disconnect between the international stage and domestic reality. So wrapping this up then, While July 2025 in Azerbaijan looks set to be, that classic hot, sunny summer, our deep dive shows a nation really grappling with some accelerating and pretty complex climate change impacts.
Definitely, from those worsening heat waves and the whole wet drought situation.
Right. To that critical long-term crisis of the shrinking Caspian Sea.
It's a complex web of vulnerabilities.
It really is, and it just underscores the huge need for robust national adaptation plans and really proactive risk management.
Yeah.
Especially given that COP29 role.
Yeah. So for you listening, this deep dive really raises a fundamental question, doesn't it? How do nations navigate that critical, often difficult balance between their immediate economic needs and realities and the urgent, absolutely vital long-term need for transformative climate action? Something to definitely mull over.